Hi and welcome to our Facebook Live this evening. It is, excuse me, Tuesday the 29th of March. Apologies for not being here yesterday. I had a really annoying cough, which of course is going to surface again now. I've obviously been talking too much. I did test negative for COVID this morning, but my son tested positive, so he's been banished to the bedroom. But hopefully I managed to avoid it. So thank you so much for joining me. We are carrying on, excuse me, with our nautical theme from last week. Last week we used Let's Set Sail, this stamp set here, with the boat and the coordinating punch that punches out the boat, the mast and the two sails. And we had great fun with that at Coffee and Card, both on Friday last week and on Monday. I'm going to share with you today another product suite. This is a new series of products that will be in the annual catalogue, and that is the 2022 to 2023 annual catalogue. But there are some extra items that have been added in, so I can send you details of this. This is the flyer with the information on it. So we have a stamp set called Waves of Inspiration, as you can see here. It features this stunning wave, a pelican on some wooden blocks, and then we have 4 sentiments and a single bird. That's really useful for filling in, covering any blotches, anything like that. So it's called Waves of Inspiration, and the stamp set is £22. It's a cling stamp set, so it's red rubber. Oh, I've got some samples in here, like so. Here's a sample of a card I did really quickly, literally the day that I got the stamp set. And there are some matching dies that cut this wave detail out that matches the wave stamp set, or you can use it on its own. Thank you, Kate. Yes, I'm okay. I'm hoping I don't collapse in a heap of cough. And then we have these lovely little sentiment tags that are included in the die set. So there's 2 sets of waves, there's some tags, there's some birds, there's some clouds, and there's a die that cuts out this as well. So the stamp set is £22. The dies are 32, and they will work on their own. The only exception is that that one without stamp is not going to be a great deal of use to you. And you can buy the bundle together, discounted at £48.50, and that will be in the new catalogue. But what we do have is some limited edition papers that go with this, and also some fab rhinestones, and these are in a set of blues and greens to coordinate with the papers, and there are 168 of those in a pack. They are, let's have a look, 20 each of 6 colours. 4 each of 6 colours and 4 each of 6 colours. Okay, so the colours it's given are Coastal Cabana, Night of Navy, Pacific Point, but I think there is some green in here as well. Okay, so, and the papers are stunning. The papers were created using acrylic paints and paint pouring. Oh, thanks, Jeanette. Well, as long as my cough stays at bay, we're okay. I've got a drink to hand. It's non-alcoholic, I have to say. Maybe I need something stronger. Maybe that would help. So this is 12 by 12 paper at £10.75. There's 12 sheets, double-sided, 2 of each design. And this was done by acrylic pouring and then photographing the finished canvas. So let me show you these. So we've got this one here, and also it's designed to look like water. We've got this one here, and they are as good as they look. We have this one. You can see the acrylic here where the white paint has been added in. And then this one looks very you know, like under the sea, tropical. And we've got this one here, and then that one there. And then on the reverse side of those, I'll just show you, still the same sort of design but with different colours. So there's some yellows, a little bit of peach and calypso in there, and here, and then blues and greens, sort of mint macaron, and it doesn't say it's granny apple green, but it does look quite granny apple green. It could be old olive. And this one here would make a great, if you cut this up here, a great beach element. And then this one here. So the papers and excuse me, the jewels are while stocks last, and these are the jewels here. I don't think you can see the colours as well obviously on here. They're blues and greens, and the jewels are £6.25. And there's also a set of foil papers, 6 sheets of foil, and I know they're not really going to show up on the screen, so I'm not going to show them, especially with the lights on. In the daytime it might be better. So let's make a card with these. What I want to do is show you the whole of the stamp set. So what I've done is I've just popped them onto the Stamparatus. Sorry, they haven't got any labels on yet. I haven't got around to doing that. And I'm just going to ink these up and stamp it onto a piece of A5 card, just to keep it as a reference. And I'm just going to pop a magnet on there, and then let me just see if that will. Let's bring the magnet right down here, I think. There we go. So I'm just going to ink this up. Now this stamp is absolutely stunning. I'm going to stamp it in Pacific Point to see what that looks like. And I'm just going to do all of them in the same, just so that you can see the different elements of this stamp. Oh, I've got a bit carried away up there. Okay, a little bit too much pressure on the tops of the stamps, but I'm hoping if I don't press too hard I'll be okay. So this is the wave here at the bottom. Then we've got the pelican, got the bird, and then the sentiments. So, okay, just going to do this one a bit more. It's a bit near the hinge. There we go. Going to move that out of the way. Just do that again, like so. There we go, that's better. So I just want to bring this up to the camera, like so. Hope you can see the detail. I'm not going to bring it too high up. Hi Tracy. So this is that beautiful wave stamp. We've got the pelican here, 4 sentiments, and then this useful little bird. Okay, absolutely stunning. And that's just in one coat of ink. I haven't changed ink. You could do lots using daubers or blending brushes to change the colours of the ink in here. if you wanted blues and greens, for example. Okay, so now I've done that, we're going to make a card. I just wanted to show you all of the elements. I'm just going to take the other stamps out of the way, and I'm going to use some of the papers in the background, and then just a simple set of waves. Okay, so let's just take these off. Oh, look at me, coloured in ink, covered in ink. Never mind. Okay, that's that one. I'll keep the bird out. And this one says, your strength is an inspiration, but I'm going to use you're totally awesome as my sentiment of choice. Excuse me. Look at that. Never mind, it's only ink. Right, I've got a piece of card here, and what I want to do is, I'm actually going to move my stamp right over, I think. So let's put the card here, trying not to get ink where it shouldn't be. Let me just make sure this stamp is clear. So I'm going to pop this stamp on. I am going to trim this down because this is actually a piece of A6 card, so it's bigger than I need, but I want to stamp it and trim it down accordingly. So I'm just going to put this just a little way up from the bottom because I'm going to trim that anyway, but that will do the job. But I've moved it away from the edge like so. Just pick that up, and I'm going to use Pacific Point again. So I hope everybody is well. Jeanette, I hope you managed to get going with your class in a box. There we go. We had a great class this afternoon, and a great one on Saturday as well. Got even more ink on me now. That's what happens when you're not 100%. That's the excuse I'm using. Okay, so just a good amount of pressure on here. Okay, and I've got my image that I want. And I'm going to add a sentiment here up, I think up on the right hand side. And so let's take this one out of the way. And I want to make sure that this is straight, really. So I might just do it with this. And I've also got our tiny little bird that I'm going to pop on a small block. The smaller the stamp, the smaller the block. Otherwise it's really easy to over ink it. Okay, and obviously if you've got other bird stamps you could use those. We used the bird stamps this afternoon to much hilarity. Okay, so I'm going to take that and I'm just going to trim this down, and then I'm going to choose some papers because I really want to show those papers and use those paper. It is fab, Kate, it really is. So I'm going to start by trimming this off, just basically along that edge like so, and then I'm going to trim this either side. I could cut it with a die, but I'm just going to cut it like this. Just want to maximize the size of that. like so. So that is just under 13 centimetres. So I think what I'm going to do is just going to make that 8 centimetres, like so. And then I'm going to stamp the sentiment. Hopefully I've left enough space, and the bird. And then I'm going to layer those up. Now I've got a piece of Misty Moonlight. Excuse me, Cassie, what are you doing? Taking my... Oh, you found the Kit Kat. Not yours, I'm afraid, darling. Sorry, there was a Kit Kat I popped in my bag after our class today. So this is Pacific Point. So I think I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to choose my paper to go behind. And I want this as a bit of a contrast. So just going to flick through. I might take a little bit of this. Too much to choose from. I'm definitely going to go with that one. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this 1/2 centimetre bigger. So this is, I'm going to make this 12.5 just to make my life a lot easier. So 12.5 centimetres by 8. So I know that this can be 8.5 by 13. So that's going to fit on there with a 1/2 centimetre border round. Oh, I did, yes, I saw your message that your box had arrived. Thank you, Jeanette. And then I'm just going to choose an element of this. I think this one, this corner here. So I'm going to make this 14.35. Just going to cut down from the top. And then cut this at 10, and that will give me a layer just slightly smaller than my card base. And we'll have a look at what that looks like. So I've got a choice of card bases, but I've got a white one here. Just I think that makes that stand out really nicely, I think. And I think this, the dark bit here balances that bit of the wave, if you can see that. But I could do it this way around, so it matches it. Undecided. My gut feel is to balance it this way, but let me know if you think differently. Okay, I'm going to stamp my sentiment and my bird on here, and I could also use my blending brush to add in a little bit of sky. I just want to find my sentiment, and I really want to put the sticker on it so I can see what's going on. So excuse me while I do that really quickly. Oh, so let me just show you. This is the, so there are 2 waves. So you can add the wave onto your stamped image like so, if you wish. And there's two of them, so you could layer them up. This is the other one. And that sort of fits in on the front to make it really vibrant. So I'm going to do a little more with that tomorrow. Okay, I just want to do some stamping for today, just while my voice lasts. I have got a team meeting this evening, so I'm going to rest up after this is done. So I'm just going to pop the label onto here. So as I say, this stamp set and bundle will be available in the new catalogue, so it's like an early release. That's the sample there, but the papers and the gems are only available up until the point of release or while stocks last. Okay. Going to move that onto a smaller stamp block. I just want to try this on a piece of grid paper, make sure I'm getting it roughly straight before I start. I've got Pacific Point, but I could use Night of Navy. Cassie's joined us, as you can hear, so I'm lining up the block first. Well, that was definitely a fluke. To get it straight on there. So all I need to do is make sure that I keep my block straight, so I'm going to use the top of the block. So excuse me while I hover over it. Just going to bring it down. So apologies for that, that it's very low, but there we go. You're so totally awesome, like so. Oh, hi Brenda. And then I'm going to add this little bird, gull, eagle, whatever you want it to be. So I am sorry that I wasn't live yesterday, but I thought it was no fun you listening to me coughing. So, got one there. So just a light touch, that's all you need with one of these little birds. And put one down here, like so. I'll just bring that up a little bit. So this is a new stamp set, Brenda, coming out in the new catalogue, but you can order it now. Okay. Now I've only got 2 on there, and normally I would say 3, but because we've got the sentiment, that sort of makes the 3. So I'm going to stick with that. And now I'm just going to layer this up. So I've got my Pacific Point layer behind here with 1/2 centimetre difference from my panel. And then I've got my chosen backing paper. What is it called? So the stamp set is called Waves of Inspiration. This one here. Okay, and as I say, it does have matching dies that do a fantastic die cut image like this that you can pop on top of your wave to bring it to life, like so. Pleasure, Brenda. And there's a white one, there's a different sized one as well. So those two go together. So I'll do a bit more with that tomorrow, but just straightforward stamping for today. So I'm going to pop this. So this is the matching papers. I'm going to pop that on. Haven't got much glue here. Let me grab some from my class box. Hoping this is going to come out. It's been stood upright for a little while. Come on. There's plenty in there, I know that. Okay, plan B. Find a glue that's been set the right way round. That's better. Okay, so unless your glue is really full and new, I would recommend storing it either like that or flat. Okay, the temptation is to do that, which is fine, but it does mean the glue will drop down to the bottom each time. Now I'm going to have this paper this way on to balance my wave design. Perfect. Now I could make this a little bit smaller and have it offset, but I'm going with the full version for now. So I'm just going to pop that on there. And obviously this is perfect to go with any sets that are sea related, obviously any birds and things like that. So the lighthouse you could have here, you could have a boat, although I did think the boat was a little bit threatening, especially the little sailboat. I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. Since I've got an end sheet here, just use these up. So I hope everybody's had a good day. I've had a busy day and another busy one tomorrow. There we go. Just use those up. There we go. And it's still light, although it's really dull and horrid out there. Weather today's been foul. It's still nice and light. There we go. So a nice simple card. It says you're so totally awesome, and it's just got the wave and the birds. As I say, normally I would do 3, but I think it works exactly like that. So there we go. I could, well, it's tricky to put the wave inside, and I'll tell you why. Because it finishes here and here. So what you could do is have this very top bit. So maybe I will try that. Let me just pop it on the Stamparatus. And just see if that will work. Let me just clean this off. So if you've got people who love the sea or the ocean, it'd be good for travelling. If you've got any of the boats, so sailing away, let's set sail, any of those really. Just going to pop this on here. Pick it up. And what I'm going to do is pop a piece of grid paper on here so I can see roughly where it's going to stamp. And then I'm going to position the inside of my card, if I can. Actually, I need to do it this way. Or just turn this round. There we go. No. Engage brain, Jenny. Okay, I need to have the card open, obviously. So it's got to go in this way. Okay. So what I'm going to do is position my stamp here and pick it up, stamp it on there, and then position my card in place. So just going to do that lightly. I know it's not in the exact right position, like so. Sorry, that's reflecting. Okay, what I want to do is just make sure that is dry. So I don't want it on the back of my card. Okay, so this is my card. Let's move the ink pad out of the way. This is the inner, and I want just this top bit of the wave. So I'm just going to position this like so. Because I don't want the wave to stop, if that makes any sense. So this is just going to be, hopefully I've got it right, the top part of the wave. We'll see. Go. There we go. That was exactly the effect I wanted. If I bring that round for you to see. So I've just taken this element here and popped it on there. Thinking you could do another one as well. Anyway, that will be perfect for my finished card. So there we go. Thank you so much for joining me for my brief Facebook Live this evening. I will be back tomorrow, Wednesday morning, all being well, at 10 AM, and I'll be doing something else. I'll be doing a stepped up version of this using the dies to go with the stamps. So thank you so much. That is the finished design. This is the stamps as stamped, and I appreciate that's quite a long way from the screen, but we do have the coordinating papers. The papers and the gems, as I said, are only available while stocks last. They really are stunning. Thank you, Jeanette. And the gems I've obviously put to one side, but to be honest, in the evening light with the reflections, you can't see the colours of those gems particularly well. I will do a photograph during the day and put those up so you can see them. Okay, so thank you so much. Have a good evening. I'm going to have 20 minutes downtime before our team meeting this evening. So thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to crafting with you again tomorrow. Bye for now. Thank you. Thanks, Brenda and Jeanette and Kate And oh, hi Natalie, sorry I didn't see your comment earlier. Oh, and there is a comment from Kate. I don't know if Kate is still online. So one of the things, Kate, if you have a very juicy stamp pad, especially if you've bought a new one, let me just pop that over there, is what you want to do is take either a bone folder or an ink block and move the ink pad, the ink in the ink pad to one end. Then you can stamp with that and the ink will settle back again, but it means that that will be a lighter shade of ink, or not so inky. So just so that you know that, and as I say, the ink will settle back again. Okay, so thank you everyone, look forward to catching up with you tomorrow if you're free, and if not, you can watch on replay. Thanks so much, bye for now.